Hi, Mark Gilbert here. In this video, I want to borrow a phrase from Mother Teresa and discuss dealing with God's distressing disguises. You know, we teach in Science of Mind that everything is one, that everything is spirit, everything is God. In this metaphysical system of ours, we have to recognize that the world of form, our minds, and the spiritual realm are all one world. Everything that we deal with and everything that we see and experience is part of that oneness of God. And sometimes God shows up in distressing ways. You know, this happened for me this morning. My wife and I had some time that we were spending out of the house, and we had decided to go to a coffee shop. And there's several coffee shops nearby that we like to visit and sit with our books and read and maybe stop and chat for a little while we're sipping on our coffees or maybe eating a pastry or something. And there's a coffee shop not too far from us that had remodeled and it expanded itself. And in times past when we had been in there, we felt like, you know, the ambiance just wasn't as conducive to that experience of sitting quietly and reading and talking and having that homey feel that we liked that other coffee shops had. But today we decided, let's give this renovated coffee shop the benefit of the doubt and go see and experience what it's like. And so we go in there, and the first thing we notice is that, you know, the seating arrangement is not that homey feel we were looking for. But we're in here, let's go ahead and test the coffees and the breakfast items and so forth and sit at this table and have a wonderful little time together. And so we do that, and we sit down at this table, and the next thing you know, there's people that sit down at the table next to us, a couple of guys, and one of them is talking very loudly. And right off the bat, even though, you know, his voice just carries, one of those natural people who just speaks sort of loudly and without concern for people around him. And I was immediately sort of like, had that sense of irritation coming up in me. Why am I getting so irritated about this guy's voice? And it's disturbing my quietness. And I came in here to basically read and have a nice, relaxing morning with my wife. And so I was a little irritated over the nature of his voice. And then all of a sudden he starts talking about his classes and political and religious beliefs, and first with the religious stuff, and you know, and a lot of it I'm listening to, and all of a sudden just I'm judging him because his faith and ideas and outlook on life are different from mine. And I've got this judgment just bubbling up. So now I've got the high voice that's disturbing me, and then the content of it is religious beliefs that are differing from my religious beliefs. And then the next thing you know, he gets into talking about politics, and his political beliefs obviously were different from mine. And so even though I had brought a book in to read, I couldn't focus on what I was going to do. And I just felt irritated over the entire event. I don't know if you've ever had something similar happen to you, but it's a matter where you have an expectation for something and it's not meeting the expectation. And it was very easy for me in that moment, in my humanness, as much as I wish to be this spiritually enlightened person who sees the oneness in everything, I was feeling this sense of separation from this individual, a sense of judgment about them, a sense of, you know, me wanting to jump in and have a big discussion and argument with this person about, you know, the meaning of life and the political arena and anything else. Or I didn't. I withheld in that moment, but I got irritated over it, and I don't think it was, you know, primarily irritated over the fact that I didn't have my expectations met for that quiet, comfortable breakfast and coffee that I was envisioning. We all get disturbed out of our patterns of comfort, sometimes by things that are less than what we want. But I go back to that moment earlier that I said that God's distressing disguises, that everything is one, everything is God. You know, that everything we experience in this lifetime is really a reflection of the divine. And so even though somebody might believe different from me politically, they might believe different from me on the spiritual arena, even though they might go into a coffee shop and talk loud without concern for the people around them, I've got to be open to the fact that this is God too. This is spirit too, expressing as this other individual. And if everything is God, this individual is God as well. You know, another quick story is my wife and I have been going through a lot of home maintenance with people coming into the house and this thing going out and it's going to cost you $500 to fix it, and this thing's going out and it's costing you thousands of dollars to fix it. And this has been going on now for a couple of months now, that there's been these multiple things that just the timing on them broke, needed repairing, and it wasn't what I wanted in life. I don't know, you've probably had these experiences too, unexpected bills and unexpected things occurring in life that are not what you chose and not when you wanted to have to deal with them. Yet those moments are God too. If we truly see that the universe is one, that everything is God and everything is an expression of that one, then we have to understand and actually accept that nature. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to accept poor behavior or not have healthy boundaries with anyone who's, causing us any kind of physical, emotional harm. And in some regards, perhaps I could have said to the individual in the coffee shop, hey, we're trying to read here. Could you be a little bit quieter? Didn't feel like I really wanted to in that moment. That's always a judgment call. But there's always an aspect where you could ensure that you have healthy boundaries with other people who perhaps are doing things wrong. But you always judge those decisions and say, really, is that something, are they causing that much harm? Is it something that I need to step up and have a healthy boundary around? Or what's the lesson for me here? If we're all God and everything that we reflect in our lives and what we're experiencing is all God or spirit or the oneness, can we look back and just see it as one of those distressing in the moment disguises of the divine in our life? Can we reorient how we look at the situation? It's often said that if we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And although we might not necessarily see outside of us that thing, quote unquote, change, but if we look at it differently, then we can have a different internalization about what's occurring. There's another statement that says that when you judge something or judge another, your judgment says more about you than about what you're judging. And it's so true that we walk around with these interactions with life, judging things that are external to us, but the judgments are really a reflection about our beliefs and our expectations. In the big scheme of things, the guy at the coffee shop was simply expressing himself in an animated way with his friend, with no intention to harm or disturb my morning. His beliefs, both spiritually and politically, had no bearing on me in any one way or the other. He wasn't causing me any harm. He was just expressing who he was and what his beliefs were. And we have to be open to the fact that everything that we see is God, expressing as God. And when we do that, when we can reorient how we look at things and see that everything out there that is less than what we want is just simply a temporary disguise of the divine that's distressing us, and that we can change how we look at it, then we're on the road to releasing attachments to controlling all of external life. If I had lived that person's life, if I had been born into their circumstances, lived their life and gone through all the events and things that they had, I would probably believe and act as if they did. Can I open myself to compassion for that person? Can I look at them with love? I admit that in the moments when you're faced with this right in your face, it's very difficult sometimes to get to that space where you see God in that person, where you can express love and connectedness to that person. But that's our charge as we grow and evolve as spiritual beings, as we more and more become enlightened to recognizing that everything is one, that everything is an interaction of God interacting with God. The more that we can truly embody that, then we can encounter those situations. We can build up the spiritual muscle within us that we can not let those moments in the moment disturb our peace and tranquility. We can open ourselves to the expression of love in those moments. As much as we can intellectualize that, we also have to interact with this world of form and let those costly repairs give us lessons to learn, and let those boisterous people in coffee shops give us an opportunity to learn and grow and to remember our truth. And what are we remembering? We're remembering that we're all one, that everything is God or Spirit expressing through us, that our ultimate truth comes from the spiritual realm, that we, in our mental realm, have the ability to choose our thoughts on how we are judging and interacting with those things in the world of form. Everything in the relative world of time and space is an opportunity for growth when we shift our mental thoughts to seeing the divinity that is flowing through us and into this world. When we can see the interconnectedness of the systems of everything in play and hold it up into the light and say, this is God too, then we're truly taking a further step on our spiritual evolutionary path. I hope my sharing this with you has been beneficial. I appreciate you watching. Take care.